everybody, this is Jen O'Connor from the Career Center, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about undergraduate career development, Part 1, Taking It Year by Year. So during this presentation, I'm going to be talking about the informal milestones of student career development, and then I'm going to be talking a little bit about how to make sure your students are on track in relation to student career development. We all know that careers are up and down, and it's not really such a linear path, but there are definitely some things that we should be looking for with our students to make sure that they're doing what they need to be doing to keep them on track to meet their goals later on. So I put this slide in here just so you can kind of see a little bit of some of the ways that we help students try to think about careers and kind of get them from point A to point B. And so there's a lot of different ways to do that. I use the way at the very bottom. It says self-assessment leads to investigation, which leads to decision-making, which leads to implementation. That's what I do with my students. Some folks use the one that's with the blocks on the top. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, what we're trying to do is help students figure out where they are at the moment and then what they need to do next to get to the next stage, right? So in a nutshell, what we're trying to do is we want to help the students really start thinking about what they really like, what they love learning about, what makes them passionate, what motivates them. And then we want to move to a direction of learning what those jobs are called and how to get those jobs and how to find those internships and how to get to those grad schools and things like that. So there is definitely a process. Sometimes what happens is someone might start in one way and then wind up in another, and that's fine. It's not a big deal to us. We just want to make sure that they're doing all the things they could be doing to make sure they're making educated decisions along the way. So no matter what process we use, we just try to make sure that the students kind of know what next steps are and things like that. And by the way, so career advisors across campus obviously are having these conversations, but the other neat thing about this is that academic advisors are also having these kinds of conversations. Maybe not so much about resumes and cover letters and things like that, but they're definitely having conversations in the academic advising appointments talking about what they like and what's really interesting them and what motivates them, what they're passionate about. So really, really lucky. So every semester, your students should be meeting with an academic advisor. So ideally, what's happening in those academic advising sessions is that not only are they picking their classes for the next semester, but they're picking them in relation to what they're interested in, what will keep them on track for their curriculum, what might lead them to the next step and things like that. So we are very, very lucky to have partners on crime all over the place. There's about 300 academic advisors and about 50 career advisors across campus, the whole entire campus, that are having conversations with your student about this. And that does not even include any faculty members or anything like that. So fantastic collaboration here across campus to help your student. So anytime that you think that your student is not really thinking about careers, they might be thinking about it, but they might actually not realize they're actually thinking about it. So I love this slide, particularly because of the picture. I love this picture. This is University Village being built several years ago. Took a long time. If you haven't been there yet, you should check it out. I love it because of the scaffolding that's on the side of the building, and it really kind of fit with what I wanted to talk about real briefly about scaffolding student learning. So there's a theory out there that student learning happens through scaffolding process. And as parents, I'm a parent too, we know we had to teach our kid how to crawl before they could walk before they run before they run the marathon, right? And so, they learn as they go, right? And so scaffolding is the support that we're giving to the students to learn all the skills that they need along the way to reach the final outcome, right? So there are so many people on campus throughout their time at USC that are helping them to build these skills. So we've got the academic advisors and alumni and faculty and their peers. We've got club advisors who are bringing in amazing panelists to talk to the students about different careers and everything. We've got family members, of course, and career advisors, pretty much a given. But think about all these people who get to talk to your student and talk with them about different careers and how they got started and ideas and just encouraging them and giving them motivation to try something different and things like that. And that's what we call scaffolding. Scaffolding is helping them get from point A to point B in a developmental way. And so I thought this picture was perfect. I mean, also I think it's kind of fun that this is the University Village, and it takes a village to get your student there. But, it's just we do across campus do believe in scaffolding student learning. And so I think that's a really important piece I wanted to bring in. part of the work that we do collaborate with academic advisors on campus. And part of what we do is we actually teach academic advisors about all the different resources that the Career Center has to offer. And so what we're hoping is that it helps build a seamless environment for your students so they can kind of learn. And there's some similar language around careers across campus. So we're very, very lucky that we have that on this campus. And it really, I think, makes a very big difference. So I mentioned earlier that we have about 300 academic advisors and around 50 career advisors across campus. And I wanted to make clear that the 50 career advisors are actually scattered throughout campus in school-based career centers. So here at USC, students are able to use the career center that I work in, which is just called the USC Career Center, but then most likely their school has their own career center as well. So I always recommend to the students that they go to their school-based career center as their primary career center, and then use my career center to kind of fill in what they might not be able to get through their school-based career center. And the reason why is because just the different schools can specialize. They get specific job postings and things like that. So I'm always telling students to make sure that they get information from both my office and also their school-based career center, because we want to make sure they get all the job postings they need, all the events and things like that. And so they should be doing both my office and then also the school-based career center, just to make sure they have all their bases covered. So across campus, our main goal is to help your student be career ready. So there's a professional association that connects between the college career centers and the employers, and it's called the National Association of College and Employers. And every year they do a survey with the employers to ask them what skills they're looking for. If we were doing a live presentation, I would ask the group to shout out the different skills that they think the employers are prioritizing. Usually the shout outs are correct. Here is the list that we have so far. The latest survey that I have right now is from 2019. But you'll see here, professionalism, career management, critical thinking, teamwork, et cetera, is on the list. Not a big surprise. So here's a breakdown of how all the skills kind of fall into place. Critical thinking and problem solving, number one. Woo! Not a big surprise, right? I mean, we kind of knew it, but it is nice to see. It's nice to see a list like this and then help students reflect on the fact that they've already been learning these skills ever since they started, even in, I would say, junior high school and high school. They've already been I've seen your students' resumes. They are amazing. And to think that USC is able to help them even further those skills is amazing to me. So I wanted to share this just so that you can kind of see USC is helping them get the skills that employers are looking for, and they already came with so much. And so it's very affirming to me to know that we are all on the right track to helping the students get what they need to be career ready. One of the neat things about having so many different career centers across campus is that there's a lot of people to talk with who loves the same stuff I love. So a few years ago, my colleague Octavio Avila, who is the director for the Dornsife Career Pathways Office, he and I were asked to do a presentation for Trojan Family Weekend where we talked about career advising from the career advising perspective as well as the academic advising perspective. And so we put together these slides, and unfortunately, Octavio hasn't been able to present with me for a couple years, but I kept there's a couple slides in here that he made specifically for this presentation, and I kept, with his permission, I kept them because I think they're just really awesome. And basically what this slide is talking about is some of the different attributes that grad schools might be looking for, if they're looking for scholarships or fellowships, what types of skills these folks are looking for across campus. In Octavio's group over in Dornsife, there's a lot of students in Dornsife who do wind up going to grad school at some point, and so it's nice to kind of show them what the liberal arts education that they receive from Dornsife and actually USC as a whole has contributed. So this slide is all about those skills. You can see he broke them down into different categories. I think he did a really, really great job. And you'll see these are very familiar skills. These are skills that we talked about in the previous slides. So I want to share this just as a way to kind of demonstrate what's happening all across campus and the conversations that we're having with your students. Okay, so now that you know a little bit about the background of career development across campus, let's talk the year-to-year stuff. I know that's what said we were going to talk about, so let's get there. So first year on campus, honestly, we are not so worried about anything related to career development for your students. We want them to really focus on transitioning well to being a college student. We want them to make sure that their academics are coming first, that they're managing their time, their health, they're developing friendships, they're finding places where they belong, that they take care of themselves. So I think the first year really for most of the folks on campus, we're working on the students just making sure that this whole college experience is working well for them. So I have some items on here, but most important is that they are getting settled in and that they're feeling great about their classes and their study habits and their friends. And it's a big, I mean, think about the transition they're making right now. It's enormous. And so we really want to make sure that they're focusing on what is the most important, right? So there's plenty of time for the career stuff, but right now we really just want to make sure they're getting plugged into everything that they need. So I made a list here, just things for them to consider. Getting great academic success strategies, making sure they're studying the right way that they need to get the grades that they need. USC is very, very difficult. It's a very, very difficult school, and sometimes it comes as a shock. You have a little bit of background, so we just want to make sure that they're really doing what they need to do to achieve academically. So the first year, finding people to hang out with, is discovering the resources. I have down in here, develop it's an amazing time, resume, but there's also a lot of things to get used to. So I don't need it, but it does come in handy sometimes because they might be looking for a summer job at some point, and have one kind of ready or release going. We have a lot of students who come to the Career Center with their the resumes that they use when they apply to USC, and it's always really funny because they're always they're like page and a half long, and by the time they get to school, we have to tell them that a resume is only supposed to be one page, and it has to be focused on the job they're applying to.
When to study,
and so sometimes we have to work with them a little bit on tailoring the resume down. So we want to make sure it's so amazing that these 17, 18, 19-year-olds have so much already on their resumes. It's hilarious to me.
As well as
it's taking care of themselves. It's just amazing, just to think of all the things they've already been doing and all the things I was not doing when I was their age. So anyway, so I put a few things on here. I do have something here about joining student organization. Traditional sense, I did put something in here.
We're not so worried about
considering an on-campus job, but I wanted to put the caveat that about 10 to 12 hours
what they need to do
for most students is pretty much the sweet spot. There's been research that said that if students work more than 12 hours, sometimes it might start to interest here and there, and anything less than 10 hours, it actually it might not help them manage the time very well because there's not a lot of time that they have to manage other times they're in school. So
there's
just
clubs,
something to think about. Just want to share that with you for first year. But again,
all sorts of
first
year
we're really wanting them to focus on self-assessment and transitioning to life as a college student, and that's
check out and
pretty much where
we're
seeing the first year
I put in
happening.
here
One thing I'd add is that
draft a resume just more just so
asking your student
open-ended questions.
A lot is a really fantastic way to help students get used to
but the resume that
speaking
they
about
need
things in a more critical way and seeing what they're enjoying and what
in the
maybe
sense
is such a
that
great fit for them.
they might need a resume.
They might not
for
be used to
example,
that.
Some of the college clubs might be asking for one.
And
in
just
that sense,
asking them
just
questions
really,
like, hey, how are your classes? What classes are you liking the most? Why do you like them?
For
how could you see that class,
campus,
fitting in with your life? Things like that. Asking open questions and just getting them to really think about what they're learning
resume
and,
just needs
and
to
how it might all fit in. Would be fantastic.
That they're applying to. For example, if they're looking for a job with customer service, I'm answering phones and things, we want the resume to focus on that and less about their academics. The resume they brought into school for admissions is probably a little bit more academically based. The one that we need actually for the different departments on campus needs to be focused on the skills that the office needs. So customer service, people skills, sometimes it might be data entry, things like that. So nothing too hardcore for that resume. And we have lots of samples of resumes and tools to help them. And of course, the career advisors can help them too. But really, the first year, that's pretty much it. We're just really wanting to make sure that they feel connected to the school, that they're here, that they're doing well in school, that they're getting a sense of belonging, a sense of community. So for us, that really is what's most important. And in a sense, that is part of career development because everything is built on the foundation they're building that first year. So here's some information for the second year. Second year, we are
going to start pushing students a little bit in terms of exploring careers and making connections. We definitely want them to really start looking at majors, any minors, any classes that might sound interesting to them. We have a portal at the Career Center called Connect SC, and not only are there job listings and internship listings and things like that, but there's also career exploration resources. And one of my favorites in there is called "What Can I Do with a Major in dot dot dot." And basically, what it does is it helps students try to learn more about how majors might connect to careers. And one of the things they notice is that there's a lot of different ways to get to the same career. And the other thing they notice is that majors lead to different careers. So I love that resource because I think it opens their minds a little bit to different ways that they might choose to plan out their academics and and to learn a little bit about jobs. I am not worried about them figuring out what job they want. The jobs that are out there, they change all the time, right? But I just want them to really be thinking about during their second year, what do they love? What skills are they good at? What skills do they need to work more on but enjoy it? Learning styles. Do they like working on teams, independent, et cetera, et cetera. So this second year is good for this kind of stuff. I would love them to go to some career events and start plugging in. I have down here, sign up for on-campus recruitment, OCR for short. Um, OCR basically means that employers post jobs with us, or they do some interviews with us on or off campus. So I love students to sign up for OCR, even if they're not really ready to be looking for an internship or job quite yet. Um, I love them to plug in because I want them to get the newsletter and to kind of understand that there's all these events that are happening and things like that. I do think that between their second and third year, they should be getting an internship. If it's not really technically called an internship, it's more like a summer job, but they're learning some skills that might relate to the career they pick in the future. That would be fantastic. It does not have to be called an internship by any stretch of the imagination. It does not have to be called an internship, but we just want to, help them start thinking about applying what they're learning in school to the world of work and seeing if they like it and how it fits. So that's why we have all this information here about looking at internships and jobs and things like that. Um, and I would recommend that they start really looking to see what positions not only are open through my office, but more importantly through their school-based career center, because the school-based career centers tend to have very specialized uh, postings that the career center that I work in might not get. So I would definitely tell the students to be looking at both. But the main focus of the second year should be starting to make some connections between majors and different careers and what they like. And they don't have to have the answer, but I want them to be thinking about everything in that critical way of thinking like, hey, I really enjoy XYZ. Maybe that could be something I could see myself doing in the future. So the next two slides are by my buddy Octavio Vila over in Dornsife Pathways office. I love this slide because it talks about co-curricular experiences across campus. So meaning students doing research and finding internships in community service and maybe doing study abroad. When you look at the skills that the students can get from those experiences, it's amazing. And these are experiences they will not forget during their life. So students getting to be in a lab and seeing what researchers are doing in their potential field of interest is invaluable. And so I love helping students figure out how do they write these things out on the resume. It is so much fun because they don't even realize all the great things they're learning. And so it's just so much fun to just kind of see that all they were doing was just being curious and interested. And here we are building job skills, and they don't even really realize it. So it's just a lot of fun. So here's a co-curricular page here, and the next page is going to be on extracurricular. So hold on one second. So here's Octavio's slide regarding extracurricular exploration. So we already talked about co-curricular, meaning more embedded in the academic experience. And then here's extracurricular, which is more outside. So clubs and organizations, athletics, the arts, so much great knowledge to be gained from exploring what's out there extracurricularly. So we definitely recommend that students get involved on campus as long as their academics are still coming first. Absolutely, extracurricular and co-curricular is going to be is important as well. So we want them to do everything, but academics definitely need to be first. So third year is definitely the year that we want students to start deciding on different career opportunities and career paths. And when I say decide, I don't mean they have to have like the one job ready and this is it and this is all I'm doing. But I mean, I want them to have a list of different options that sound potentially viable to them, and I want them to start exploring that more. So definitely exploring through internships, definitely through informational interviews with people, definitely through talking with professors, and just really learning more about what might be out there for them and what might potentially be a good fit. Again, we don't have to have the answers, but I really want them to start exploring what's out there. And honestly, between the third and the fourth year, between junior and senior year, it is pretty much imperative at this point that they get an internship. An internship is pretty much critical for students between their junior and senior year because for a lot of them, that's the way they're going to explain to an employer how they feel qualified for the position that they're applying to as a senior, right? So it's not uncommon actually for our juniors to have an internship between junior and senior year. They come back for senior year and they already have a job offer in hand. It's amazing, and employers want to hire interns. If the interns work out, they would love to hire them full time for the following summer after they graduate. But the internship is basically a test drive. It's a test drive for both the student and also the employer. So we want your student, and we really, really want them to put themselves out there and start getting an internship and start connecting what they're learning in school with what might be out there in the world of work. And and if they don't like the internship, we will start talking about why didn't you like it? What would you do differently? What do you think you learned from the experience? Maybe we should try something else, maybe in the fall, just to kind of see if maybe we can find something that might be a better fit. But this is the year to be doing that because there's still time. All the different information sessions. When I did this presentation earlier today, I realized I forgot to explain what I3 was. I3 stands for Investigate Industries and Internships. So investigate industries and internships. And basically what it is, it's a way for students to not only learn more about companies and different career paths, but also how to get an internship in that to get started. And the people who come to, the employers who come to present during I3 have to have internships that our students are able to apply to. So it's a really, really great way to kind of get a little bit more of an intimate connection with an employer and then learn more about internships and things like that. So fantastic stuff. Third year is also very good if the students are thinking about grad school. We try to make sure they're connected in with the Dornsafe pre-grad advising office because there might be some things that they need to know. My office, we do not do anything related to grad school or anything that because we have the Dornsafe pre-grad advising office. Pre-grad advising office is through Dornsafe, but they serve everybody. Yeah, they have a couple of people that are doing pre-health, pre-law, and then more general grad school. And this is not an office that only promotes USC. In fact, I would say they probably promote a lot of other schools more than you would think they would because it's always nice for students to get different experience at another school as well. So USC, the pre-grad advising office is not going to just sell, they're not going to sell USC schools. Basically what they're doing is trying to make sure that the students doing what they need to do to get into grad school after they leave us at USC. So that is up with third year. We're in the home stretch, fourth year, very, very critical year, very busy year. So if you see from the list here, these are no small tasks here, but we want the students to be making and implementing career plans. So we want them to be going to all of our events. We want them to start networking, starting to apply to full-time positions, which means tailoring resumes and cover letters because everything has to be tailored. I'm going to think about grad school. We got to get them ready for grad school through the pre-grad advising office. So it's a busy year, and you know what? It's a very stressful year. It's very confusing for a lot of them because they're not maybe really thinking about themselves as being a full-time employee at this point. And so there's a lot of different things, and if a student didn't like their internship that they had in the summer, there's a lot of reflection that's around that and trying to figure out what might be next for them. We are helping a lot of seniors right now
learn how to use LinkedIn in the way of like using it for networking. So they know how to put themselves into networking, into LinkedIn, but they might not necessarily know how to reach out to somebody in LinkedIn. I would have hoped they learned that, in the sophomore and junior year. But right now, we're still seeing seniors who are struggling with using LinkedIn as a networking tool to find people, and so we've been working with them a lot on that. And so, if a student doesn't have a LinkedIn account by the time they're junior year, I that is a flag to me that maybe they're not really thinking about this networking thing as much as they should. So by senior year, we definitely need to make sure that they know how to do that and they know all the resources, and they're taking the time to really craft amazing resumes and cover letters. And these students, they're amazing. When I see what students, when they came in, what they were doing, and then what they have their last year, it's amazing because they already started off so strong. Just to see what they did while they were here is just, I mean, my gosh, it just makes me so proud, and it just that they did it, right? So part of this year is learning a little bit about salary negotiations and things like that. We have a ton of resources on our website, all up and down this list of how to do XYZ and things like that. And then meeting with career advisors. And again, the school-based career center, those job postings are going to be critical, I think, for the students. If they do have job postings through their career center, they should definitely be prioritizing looking at those, and then using the ones. I mean, the Connect to See does have a lot of postings. Don't get me wrong, but I love that the school-based career centers are out there talking with employers for more specialized job postings too. So I'm hoping that your students taking advantage of all of this stuff, but it's also a really hard year because the students are acknowledging that college is almost over for them, right? So, for some of them, college is the best years of their lives, so there's a little of that too. And so it's a little bittersweet, so what we try to do is, really help them really reflect on what they've been learning, and just really acknowledge that maybe they might not have found exactly what they want to do, but there's still plenty of time to do it. And, sometimes it comes down to, helping them interview, and sometimes they don't even really know how to introduce themselves and things like that. We hope they would have learned it sooner, but by senior year, they will definitely learn it because they have to be doing these things. They have to go to the career fairs and connect with the employers if they're still looking for a job. Many of our students actually do get job offers through their internships that happen in their junior to senior year. That's not everybody. And sometimes they don't like the internships they had, or they might want to do something else, or at least before they say yes to that employer, look at other options as well. And so sometimes we have to help them navigate through that, just to make sure they're doing everything the way they should without, burning any bridges. So it's a neat year. It's also a very stressful year, and I get it, but there's no linear path from point A to point B a lot of times. And so sometimes we have to explain to them, like, just because, you didn't get this internship, or this interview didn't go very well, that doesn't mean everything's done. We just have to keep looking, and just keeping their motivation up. And really, it's just a lot of fun to see where they wind up. These students are just, it's amazing. It's amazing where they wind up. So that's it for the year-to-year breakdowns. I wanted to share a few books that I have found helpful over the years to use to learn more about how students think, the mindset, how to help them connect with the world of work, and then launch. So here's a few. Sometimes we will use the Do What You Are book with our students in relation to personality type. Lindsay Pollock, who's an honorary Trojan, she wrote a great book called Getting from College to Career. Fantastic read if you have the time. Just wanted to give you a few supplemental resources just in case you might be interested. Thank you so much for listening to this presentation and all the things that we wanted to talk about today to help you and your student get them on their path. Let me give you a couple extra resources before I leave. Here is the Career Center's website, careers.usc.edu. And then the family section is careers.usc.edu/family.